News Talk 94.5 WPTI, 96.7 WTOB, and you're listening to the Wealth Guardians radio show with Doug Ray, helping you to retire that job but keep the paycheck. And with me, of course, today is Mr. Brice Payne. Brice, it looks like today we're going to be talking about money mistakes you'll regret and how to avoid them.
That's a great topic. I think a lot of people will find interest in that. Doug, good morning. How are you this weekend?
Doing good.
Beautiful.
Packers lost, but
yeah, I know. I'm sorry. Packers lost. At least you guys made it to the playoffs.
Yeah.
Anyway, but it's a beautiful weekend. Hope you get out to enjoy it here. And thanks to everyone out there who is taking a few minutes out of your weekend day to join us here and see what financial planning and retirement planning advice we might be able to help you out with. Doug, let's go ahead and do two things here first. Let's do our Wealth Guardian Service salute. Go ahead.
Yeah, we like to always honor our veterans, our service members, our first responders, and just say plain old thank you for what you do, the sacrifices you make. Truly appreciate it from the bottom of our heart.
And double that over here on my end as well. So you are in our thoughts. All right. Now, Doug, we've started doing this in 2024, getting to know your Wealth Guardians financial advisor. At the start of every episode, we ask a question of ourselves, and you can answer it out there. Feel free to answer it along with yourself as well, just so you can get a better sense of who we are here at the Wealth Guardians and a more personal aspect of Doug Garrett and myself. So the question we're asking ourselves this week is, and Doug, I'll throw this out at you and then you can throw it to me. If you could magically become famous, would you want to?
Well, it would be magic, that's for sure.
Well, we're on the radio.
I mean, I can't sing, I can't dance, I can't play an instrument. I mean, yeah. In all seriousness, I honestly don't think so. I don't think that's my personality.
Yeah?
Yeah. I just don't, I don't need to tread in the limelight.
Right. So. No. All right. So good answer. Mine would be a heck no. I have had a few people stop me when they hear my name because of the radio show in the Triad area. And, that's fun to just say hi to somebody because they listen to you on the radio or whatnot. But to walk down the street and have people recognize you and come up to you and want their photo, absolutely not that. No. I would just be racing to get back to the house.
Yeah.
So, no, I'll pass on that. Now, I'll take the fortune that sometimes goes along with fame. Yeah. Ask me that question. But anyway, no, not the fame. So I'm curious what your answer is out there. See if it's like Doug and myself or if you've got a completely different answer. At any rate, let's go ahead and get to today's topic. Money mistakes you'll regret and how to avoid them. Let's start this off, Doug, with a quote, and this is a quote from Eleanor Roosevelt. Learn from the mistakes of others. You can't live long enough to make them all yourself.
That's a good quote. Yeah,
I like that.
Like it too.
So, do you ever wish you could foresee financial missteps before they happen? Of course you do. And on today's episode, we're going to explore some real-life stories of regret and arm yourself with the essential do's and don'ts to ensure your money works for you and not against you. And the first one, Doug, we're going to talk about is I regret taking premature IRA withdrawals. Have we seen clients come through here that have taken withdrawals prematurely from their IRA?
Oh, yes, absolutely we have. And there is a big regret usually that comes with that. One of the biggest issues I have is people trying to use that 60-day rollover rule and time it,
yes.
Especially when it comes to trying to buy a house and sell a house.
I almost don't want to mention that on the air because we might be giving somebody an idea.
Please don't. If this idea ever gets in your head, don't do it. The timing is precarious at best. And what I'm talking about here is somebody's wanting to buy a new house, but they got to sell their old house, but they got the money in the 401k, and they know I can make a withdrawal out of this 401k, knowing full well if I can put it back in 60 days, I'm not going to get taxed on it. But Brice, you and I both know so much can go wrong in that 60-day window.
Absolutely can. Doesn't even have to be a house selling. It can just be I have every intention of putting all or even most of this money back in my IRA within 60 days. Not a problem. One thing leads to another, and boom, they couldn't do it. They couldn't get it back in there, and then the tax hit. Because whatever money you took out of the IRA and didn't get back in there within 60 days, that's just added to your earned income, probably kicks you up an extra tax bracket, if not two. And boy, then you got to take out another distribution in April to pay for the taxes on that, and it's just it's kind of like debt.
Yeah, and the other thing I is a pet peeve of mine is people taking money out of their IRAs or 401ks for that matter to pay off a mortgage.
Right.
Because
Yes.
what you're doing there is you're almost automatically increasing your mortgage by 25% or even a third, because what you take out, you have to pay that tax on. So even at today's mortgage rates of 6-7%, it's still cheaper to keep the
paying
mortgage.
it. Right. It absolutely
And
is.
then you forever give up all that growth, that tax-deferred growth on the IRA, that money you took out.
No, it's absolutely true. And Doug, some people think, well, yeah, that does sound like that would make sense for me to go ahead and take out a loan from my IRA or from my 401k. 401k is a little bit of a different story if you take out a loan from that.
That's different.
Because you're paying the interest back to yourself. But taking a hit out of your IRA to pay off a mortgage, some of these things, Doug, sound like they make sense to somebody. It's like, yeah, I'm going to go ahead and do that. I implore you to go sit down with a financial planner. I'd love for it to be us, but if it's not us, sit down with somebody who can run these numbers for you and show you what kind of mistake that could cost you, and show you how much less your nest egg is at age 75, 85, whatever, and make the decision based on numbers. And that's what a financial planner like us does for our clients. We help them make sense of what they can do, can't do, shouldn't do, should do. And one of the more frequent ones is, should I pay my mortgage off early? But maybe, but let's not take a loan out, let's not take a hit out of our IRA to do that. If you're just tuning in, you're listening to the Wealth Guardians radio show, and in this segment and in the second segment today, we're talking about money mistakes you'll regret and how to avoid them. So thank you for joining us. Doug, let's move on to number 2 now. I spent way too much in my peak earning years.
Yeah. Well, that phenomenon is called lifestyle creep. So the more they make, the more they spend, Their lifestyle just keeps growing. It reminds me of early on in my career, one of the first professional couples I met, and this is down in Charlotte. I believe she was a nurse and he was an engineer or something like that, and they didn't have any children. Had a big old McMansion. She drove a Beamer, he drove a Mercedes. They had his and hers water ski jets and didn't have a pot to what in.
Yep.
I mean, literally had nothing.
Right.
And I told them, I said, look, folks, I'd like to help you, but there's no way. You got to have something to help.
We're not miracle workers.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So.
And that lifestyle creep that you talk about, Doug, I forget exactly what the number is here, so I'm kind of improvising this, but a majority of people who win the lottery end up spending the entire amount within like 7 years or so. So talk about lifestyle creep is all these little toys that you've wanted or envisioned for yourself. You're going to go out and blow it. But you have to use some discipline. And again, that's where a financial planner can come in to help you figure out what your budget can be, what it can't be, so that you're living within means of yourself, not just in retirement, but planning up for retirement as well. Let us help you figure that out. And the best way to do that is to give us a call. So let me give you our phone number. It's 336-391-3409. I'll say it again, 336-391-3409. You can also reach out to us by our website, thewealthguardians.com. Usually our planning process is 4 meetings, but there's no cost or obligation for that. It is a very thorough, in-depth planning process which shows you what your retirement looks like if you didn't do anything, make any changes to your retirement portfolio or your spending. And then we run it again a second time to show you how we can improve that scenario, allocate your portfolio properly, throw in a couple of tax mitigation strategies so you're giving as little money as more than you have to Uncle Sam. It's a really helpful, thorough process. Again, no cost or obligation to do that, but you do have to pick up the phone and give us a call. So 336-391-3409. Now, I mentioned our website, and I want to mention one other thing. If you go to our website, thewealthguardians.com, we've got a lot of helpful tools in there. There's a whole bunch of calculators, but the thing that I want to bring to your attention today is go to our website, thewealthguardians.com, scroll over the Media Center tab, and click on Free Financial Reports. There's a number of them there, and you just easy to click on and download. But the one I mentioned last week, Tax Survival Toolkit, 5 critical tax strategies every retiree should know. That's one of them. But another one is addressing market volatility in today's world. Doug, do you think we're going to have a volatile year this year?
I think it could be very volatile.
Election year.
Absolutely.
All right, election year.
Geopolitical.
Yep, a lot of stuff going on out there. So if you're interested in how to navigate a market volatile world with your investments presumably that you worked hard for a couple of decades, and that money's supposed to be there for you for retirement. You don't want that to go away just because the market goes down. Download this brochure and read it and see if it provides you some helpful information. All right, well, we've got to get on to, Doug, our commercial break, but before we do that, we tend to ask a trivia question. I think you know that. Are you ready?
Okay, go ahead.
All right, here we go. I love this trivia question.
I'm not going to like it then.
Yeah, you'll like it. On January 23rd, 1957, Walter Frederick Morrison sold the rights to his flying toy invention to the Wham-O Company, the Wham-O Toy Company. What was his invention? All right, Doug's got a confident look there. I was debating on whether or not I should mention the name of the company.
I was a whole month old then.
All right, so stick around for the answer to that trivia question on the other side of that break. This is Brice Payne. With me is Doug Ray. The show is The Wealth Guardians, helping you retire the job and keep the paycheck. And this is News Talk 94.5 WPTI. And this is 96.7 FM WTOB. News Talk 94.5 WPTI. 96.7 FM WTOB. You're listening to the Wealth Guardian Show with Doug Ray, helping you retire the job and keep the paycheck. I'm Brice Payne along with Doug Ray, and in this second segment, we're going to continue our conversation about money mistakes you'll regret and how to avoid them. Now, before we get to our trivia question, I've got 2 questions for you, just like I do every week. Are you looking forward to your retirement? Of course you are. Do you want to make sure that you're making the best financial decisions for your retirement? Of course you do. So you answered yes to both of those questions, then good. I've got great news for you. We here at the Wealth Guardians offer a no-cost, no-obligation second opinion / review of your retirement plan. This is going to include a deep analysis of your assets, your investment portfolio, your insurance policies, your income needs, risk tolerance, risk exposure, tax mitigation strategies or lack thereof, legacy goals, and the fees you are currently paying. So here's our goal. It's not complicated. We want to help you lower your fees. We want to help you align your risk and improve your overall retirement picture so you can retire the job and keep the paycheck. But the ball is in your court. You have to give us a call. So our number is 336-391-3409. That's 336-391-3409. Give us a call or visit us at thewealthguardians.com, our website, to set up your financial plan review with Doug, Garrett, and myself today. Remember, the markets are not going to wait for you. Okay, let's go ahead and get to that trivia question. Doug, are you ready?
Go ahead.
Let's do it. On January 23rd, 1957, Walter Frederick Morrison sold the rights to his flying toy invention, and I shouldn't have said the name of the company because I was debating, to the Wham-O Toy Company. What was his invention?
Wham-O, I haven't heard that in forever.
Right.
Are they still in business?
They are.
Are they really?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I have to think it's the Frisbee.
Yeah, you got it right. I did ding, 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 ding. I didn't even get out my dinger. I was so convinced you wouldn't get it. No, that's absolutely right. The Frisbee. So here's a fun little, I was doing some research. I was trying to figure out how much he sold this for because that was going to be the extra little bit of knowledge that I was going to share. Couldn't find that bit. But I came across a whole bunch of neat little bits on this. He says he got the idea while throwing a popcorn lid with his girlfriend, later became his wife. He originally called it the Flying Saucer, but then in 1955 he improved it and called it the Pluto Platter. And that is what he sold the invention to, the Pluto Platter, to the Wham-O Toy Company. He actually figured out that there was money to be made in this when he was throwing a pie tin on the beach, on some South California beach with his girlfriend. Somebody offered him 25 cents for it so that they could play with it. He's like, well, this only costs 5 cents. So he started going and buying more of those for 5 cents and selling them on the beach for 25 cents before he started figuring it out. Interestingly enough, when he died in 2010, he had his ashes made into a Frisbee by his request. I don't know what became of the Frisbee, if they threw it or something, but his ashes are now in a Frisbee. But, we have the sport called Ultimate, which is basically soccer with a Frisbee instead of... So a lot of good stuff has come out of the Frisbee. I play disc golf, and that's kind of a not too far of a stretch from the Frisbee.
You just cannot beat American entrepreneurism.
No.
You just can't.
Is there not a simpler invention? I mean, the ball maybe, but at least the ball, you got to fill it up with air. The Frisbee, you don't even have to do that. All right, enough of that with the Frisbee, one of my favorite toys of all time. Let's go ahead and talk now more about money mistakes you'll regret and how to avoid them, continuing this from our first segment. So we talked, Doug, about regretting taking premature IRA withdrawals. We talked about spending way too much in your peak earning years. Let's go on now to I paid too much or so much in tuition for the kids.
Yeah, boy, college tuition has gone
sky high.
It's parabolic.
Yes.
I mean, it's ridiculous compared to what it was when I was going to school. And, the kids want to go to college so they obviously can get a great job and a great career and all that. But I've thought about this quite a bit. I was very lucky. Older son Garrett had a naval scholarship to the Citadel. Adam had several different scholarships to South Carolina, so we got out pretty lucky in that situation. But we've seen clients in this situation where they've had to pay, either they took out big student loans and they're helping their children pay those things off, and to their detriment, their future retirement detriment, it's hurting them quite a bit. So I'm sure there's lots of regrets out there. And this phenomena about these college tuitions and the way they're going up, I really, I have a lot of heartburn with that, because if you look at the institutions out there, especially the big name schools, their endowment funds are massive.
Yes.
And they're still taking and charging $60,000, $70,000, $80,000 a year in tuition.
There's got to be a point where the pros don't outweigh the cons on that anymore. The cost-benefit ratio exceeds on the cost side.
Exactly. And what you're seeing now is a lot of people are saying, okay, either, go get your general college studies done at the community college and save some money, and or go to a technical school, learn a trade.
Yep.
There's a lot of money.
There's a lot of money to be made in trade. Yes,
absolutely. So, it's. I think the colleges have overdone this, and I think they're going to see their come up at somewhere in the next few years.
Now, to be clear, we are not bashing higher education. That's not the point of this conversation. But you can ask somebody who is an adult at this point, would you rather have been responsible for paying your own college tuition, or would you rather been responsible for paying for your parents' retirement? If you're paying for your kids' college tuition, don't do it at the detriment of your own retirement. If you've got the extra money, great. Kids will love you and appreciate you for the help that you give them getting out into the real world. But don't do it to the point where you haven't saved enough for retirement for yourself, and now you're leaning on your kids back. They would rather have been responsible for their own college education. I was taught that a long time ago, and I believe that's a universal truth. So don't get out of hand. Really weigh the pros and cons of how much you're paying for your kids' college tuition, how much are you letting them be responsible for it themselves. All right, let's go ahead and get to the next one here, Doug. Oops, I retired just a bit too early, and now it's costing me. Do we see this?
Yes, we have, obviously. Everybody would love to say, gosh, I'd like to retire at 55 or whatever the case may be. And, there's some hurdles you got to go over. I mean, right now, you can't take money out of your IRAs before 59 and a half without that extra penalty plus the tax. So that's a hurdle. There is the age 55 rule for 401ks, but you got to be careful with that too.
Very careful.
Because when you retire that early, you have to think, well, I might live well into my 80s, if not 90s. Do I have enough money to to last that long when I retire at 55?
Isn't that one of the main questions when somebody comes in and sits down with us? That's one of the questions that they want answered. Mm-hmm. So, Doug, most of the people who come to us seeking a financial planner is not after they've retired. Most, I'd say 9 out of 10 of the people who come and sit down with us at our conference room, they are wanting to know when they can retire. So they haven't pulled that trigger yet. And that's one of the answers that we provide them as holistic financial planners.
Yep. And, that's the perfect time to come and see us is before you retire.
Yes.
That way you can avoid some missteps that you might have otherwise taken.
Even as soon as 5 years before you retire. So you can come to us certainly 10 years before you retire, but we are retirement specialists. And you really start coming in for a landing if you are around 5 years before you retire. And you have to make sure you've got all of your ducks in the row for that. And I don't see a lot of people coming to us saying, I think I might have retired too early. People who are responsible enough to come to a financial planner generally are responsible enough not to have burned a bridge before they do that.
That's true.
But there are a lot of people out there who don't go see a financial planner, do retire too early, and then they're either trying to go back to work after they're kind of already out of that work pool, and it's kind of tougher for them. They're not making what they used to. So we would really encourage you, if you're thinking of retiring and you're not 100% sure, maybe you're only 99, 98% sure that you can retire when you want to, why don't you make it 100% sure? Come and sit down with a holistic financial planner like we are at the Wealth Guardians, and we'll help you figure that out. We'll help you figure out a lot of things, like how to avoid paying Uncle Sam more than you have to, what kind of risk should your portfolio be taking, what can your budget be in retirement. A lot of questions is what like those are what holistic financial planners help you out with. So let me give you our phone number, since we are holistic financial planners. It's 336-391-3409. That's our phone number. We also have one of those website things, and that's thewealthguardians.com. There is no cost, no obligation to sit down with us and go over your retirement plans year by year and see what your nest egg is doing. How do we change that for the better? How do we improve your portfolio? How do we improve your tax mitigation strategies so that you're living the kind of retirement that you want to? Doug, we've seen so many people come through, about 50 clients a year come to us, and we help so many of them put pen to paper, dot the I's, cross the T's, and make sure that retirement is everything that they intended it to be. Now, again, we're not miracle workers, right? If you haven't saved anything for retirement, we can't make you have a successful retirement. But if you have and you want to protect that and not do anything wrong at the last minute, that's what we're about.
Well, I've always said that, in all the years I've been doing this, that no client has ever had to go back to work because they had to.
That's right. That's right. Some of them go back because they like to. They're looking for something to do. Many others of them will go out and do the volunteering gigs that they wanted to do, they've long envisioned doing. But they enjoy their retirement, and they're enjoying it with confidence because they know that the numbers prove that they can, and we're the ones that provide them that proof in those numbers. Doug, I think we're kind of running out of time here. Is there anything else you want to add on this beautiful weekend morning before we let everyone get back to doing what they want to for the weekend?
I think we've covered enough mistakes.
All right. Well, maybe next week we'll cover the things to do right instead of the things to do wrong. Hey, again, thank you for joining us on this beautiful weekend morning. Go out there, have some fun. Doug, thank you for joining me. This is the Wealth Guardians, and this is News Talk 94.5 WPTI. And this is 96.7 FM WTOB.